Lillahi ta'ala, correct your intentions. All right, so we started going over the case of Nunu Ta'kid, the noon of emphasis. And I wanted to review. So, Alhamdulillah, Allah enabled me to review. So, let's cover something here. Inshallah, my screen is clear for you. So, the author says, may Allah have mercy upon him. ويلحق الفعل غير الماضي والحال نونان للتأكيد. Following the verb, that is attaching to the verb, يلحق, attaching to the verb that's not past nor present in meaning, are two noons for emphasis. So, not past. A past tense verb is like qala. So you're not going to say qalan or qalanna, or if you were to say adribul an, I strike now. So that means present. It's present. Present tense. You don't say then adriban al-an or adribani al-an, because for present. Rather, it's going to be for the future. What's left? If the past is excluded and the present is excluded, then all that's left is the future. Like La yusjanan. That's what Zulaykha said in threatening Yusuf. He will, by God, certainly be imprisoned. Here's the noon of Tawkid here. And this lamb is in response to a swear, as if she's saying, Wallahi, I swear to God, La yusjananna. He will be indeed imprisoned. So yusjan, the word, so the original verb here then is yusjan. So for the future. يلحق الفعل غير الماضي والحال نونان للتأكيد. Attaching to the verb that's not past nor present are two noons for emphasis. خفيفة ساكنة وثقيلة مفتوحة. خفيفة, a light one, that means not with a shadda. Sakina, having a sukoon. وثقيلة, and a heavy one, having a shadda. مفتوحة, with a fatha. So, la yusjananna, and also in the same ayah. ولا يكونن. لا يكونن لا يسجنن ولا يكونن من الصاغرين. لا يكونن. So, and he will be. He will, I swear, he will certainly be. So, this noon here, ولا يكونن. That's nunu tawkid also. That's the light one. So you have nunu tawkid al-thaqila, heavy one. And nunu tawkid al-khafifa, the light one. And you are adding these words to your vocabulary if you didn't have them. You're adding these words to your vocabulary. Thaqil means heavy. Thaqil. Khafif means light. فَأَمَّا مَنْ ثَقُلَتْ مَوَازِينُهُ, whoever's his scales were heavy. وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَفَّتْ مَوَازِينُهُ, anyone whose scales were light. So you have heavy one, la yusjananna, nunu tawkid al-thaqila, wa la yakunan nunu tawkid al-khafifa. So this lamb also in response to a swear, wa la yakunan. So the verb here is just yakun, yakun. You know yakun, kana yakunu. He will be. He will certainly be. So this noon doesn't have some particular word to translate it as. Very important. Rather, you're going to translate the meaning. The meaning here is emphasis. So how are you going to do that? It might be by using some words like certainly, surely, verily. Or might be even by using punctuation marks. Punctuation marks like exclamation point. So, Nunani li ta'kid, two noons for emphasis. Khafifatun sakinatun wa thaqilatun maftuha. A light one with a sukun, la yakunan. And a heavy one with a fatha, la yusjanan. Illa fima yakhtassu bih. Except what is special to it, means except what has a heavy one in particular only takes the heavy one. Except a word that only takes a verb that only takes a heavy noon, not a light one. Which are those? وهو فعل الاثنين مطلقا وجماعة النساء وجماعة النساء. Those are the verb for two, absolutely, and the group of women, meaning the plural feminine verb. فهي مكسورة فيهما أبدا. This noon always has a kasra instead of fatha. We said thaqilatun maftuha. It's a thaqila maftuha, heavy with the fatha, except when the verb only accepts the heavy one. In the case where the verb only accepts the heavy one, then it's going to take a kasra. Yes. Fatakul, you therefore say, اذهباني للاثنين واذهبناني للنسوة. فتدخل ألفا بعد نون جمع المؤنث. You therefore add an alif after the noon for the plural females. لتفصل بين النونات, to separate the noons. ولا تدخلهما الخفيفة, and you don't insert the light noon in this case. So let's see what we have here. Okay, you would say اذهب أنت. And you know the command is for the future. If you didn't know, then no. The command is for the future. So then means this noon can attach because this noon attaches to a future verb. So you could say اذهبن. اذهبن. Go, with emphasis though. And you could say idhaban, go, with emphasis. The meaning here is anta, idhab anta. But what about antuma? For antuma, you would say originally idhaba. Idhaba antuma. You two go. Now, if we want to add the noon here, then if we put a noon, if it's just the light one with a sukoon, then the result would be idhaban. And then that would result in us having two sukoons in a row. Which you cannot have two sukoons in a row, except in its proper place. So then that doesn't work. Yani, you can't have two sukoons in a row out of place. There's place for two sukoons in a row. It is valid to say you cannot have two sukoons in a row. It's just a general statement. Because the cases of having two sukoons in a row are so few that it's an exception to the rule. And the exception doesn't disprove a rule. An exception proves a rule. So we're going to see. Here, two sukoons in a row, you can't have it. So then you can't do this. Rather, you can say idhabani. Idhabani. With noon of tawkid al-thaqila. But taking a kasra instead of a fatha. Because of attaching to the dual form, or to the dual, to the verb for two, because of attaching to the verb for two. And the reason for the kasra here is to complement the noon that has a kasra in the dual form. Because wouldn't you say, not here, but wouldn't you say, for example, rajulani, so dual form has noon with a kasra. You would say, for example, az-zaydani qa'imani, the two Zaids are standing. So we have yani alif and noon there with kasra on the noon, alif and noon here with a kasra on the noon. So this is not the same noon, but it came in Arabic resembling it. So to just complement that, that's how it came. So you say idhabani. Also, for a group of females, you would say idhabna. So you know this noon is the pronoun for the females. Three or more females. Idhabna antunna. Antunna idhabna. Go, you females. So, if you want to add the noon, you cannot add the light one here. If you add the light one here, you'd say idhabnan. Idhabnan. So they don't say it. Idhabnan. They don't want to put those two noons back to back like that. So they want to break those noons. They're going to add an alif here. So it's going to become idhabnan. But this can't be still light one with sukoon, because then it's going to be the same issue as up above. There would have been two sukoons in a row. Idhabnan. So also this one has to be the heavy one. idhabnani. And this alif here is separating these noons. That's alif al-fariqah. Alif al-fariqah. Like when you say qalu with this waw, and you put an alif after. Qalu, that's alif al-fariqah. You don't pronounce that alif. This one you do though. You're going to pronounce that alif. It's still alif al-fariqah. Idhabnani. So let's see the matan again. He says, "Illa fima yakhtassu bih." Except when the heavy noon is special to a verb, particular to a verb, then, which is what? وَهُوَ فِعْلُ الْإِثْنَيْنِ مُطْلَقًا, which is the verb for two, absolutely. وَجَمَاعَةِ النِّسَاءِ, and for the feminine plural, فَهِيَ مَكْثُورَةٌ فِيهِمَا أَبَدًا. This noon that we are discussing is going to be a heavy one, is going to have a kasra for those two cases always. فَتَقُولُ ذْهَبَانِ لِلْإِثْنَيْنِ. So you say idhabani for two. Wadhabnani linniswa. And you say idhabnani for the women. Fatudkhilu alifan ba'da nuni jam'i al-mu'annath. Therefore, you insert an alif after the noon for the feminine plural. The noon which was the pronoun. Yani, this noon here. This noon here. The noon for the feminine plural. There's an alif added. You add an alif after that, and then you bring the noon. لِتَفْصِلَ بَيْنَ النُّونَاتِ. So to separate the noons, because they don't want to have so many noons in a row. وَلَا تُدْخِلُهُمَا الْخَفِيفَةِ. And the light noon does not apply to these two for dual form or feminine plural. لأنه يلزم التقاء الساكنين, because that results in two sukoons in a row. على غير حده, out of place. Out of place. Yani, in an inapplicable way. In a way that is wrong in Arabic language. فإن التقاء الساكنين إنما يجوز إذا كان الأول حرف مد والثاني مدغما فيه. Let me check my copy here. والثاني مدغما فيه. Yeah, the word فيه is missing here. والثاني مدغما فيه نحو دابة ولا الضالين. The meeting of two sukoons is merely permitted. إنما يجوز إذا كان الأول حرف مد. The meeting of two sukoons would only be permissible when the first of these two letters, the first one that has a sukoon, is an extension letter. وَالثَّانِي مُدْغَمًا فِيهِ. And the second of these two letters is a letter that merges into another. نحو دابة. So originally you would say like this. Yani dabba is like this. Dal, alif, ba, ta marbuta. And alif has sukoon, and first ba has sukoon, and second ba has haraka. Dabba. That's what he's saying. This is valid. This is a valid case of having two sukoons in a row in Arabic. But you're not going to spell it this way, of course. You're going to spell it properly, like here, merging the two bas in script. You write one ba with a shadda. Still two sukoons meeting, actually. Same thing for waladdallin. So originally it would be Dad, Alif, Lam, Lam, Ya, Noon. And Alif has sukoon, and first Lam has sukoon, and then you read it Dallin. That's a valid instance of two sukoons in a row. You just can't write it that way. You have to write it with one lam with a shadda. Dallin. And the author didn't say more than this. When is it permissible to have two sukoons in a row? He didn't say more than this case. There's some other cases too, like when you stop on a word and the letter before the last letter has a sukoon. Because in Arabic, you stop on a sukoon. So when you stop on a word properly, meaning you stop with a sukoon, and the letter before the last one itself has a sukoon, that's going to result in two sukoons in a row, and that's valid Arabic. You say, for example, darb, the sukoon on the ra. If I stop, I'm putting a sukoon on the bat too. Darb. Or wal asr. Innal insana lafi khusr. That sukoon is because I'm stopping. That's valid. And there's more than that too, but very few limited cases. Handful. Literally handful of cases in Arabic that can take two sukoons in a row. And we'll stop there, insha'Allah ta'ala. Give you time to study that, and you're going to go and study that. And so you're going to study that. And then after you study that, insha'Allah ta'ala, we're going to add more. We're still in the chapter of Noon at-Tawkeed or at-Ta'keed. He wants to talk more about that. I don't want to put this on top of what I just gave you today. So I'm going to give you some breathing room here so you can study. And then you're going to come back after you have studied, inshallah. Do you have any question I can answer for you?